But first to that High Court ruling that caught the Albanese government asleep at the wheel on national security last week. Now, the latest figures so far show at least 93 foreign criminals, including convicted pedophiles and murderers, have now been released into the Australian community. And although the Albanese government agreed to several amendments from the coalition to last week's emergency legislation, ankle bracelets, curfews, the fallout has continued, especially given none of these foreign criminals will be locked up again. And there's perhaps another 247 set to be released. Joining me now for the latest, Shadow Attorney General Michaelia Cash. Michaelia, thank you for your time. I think the most worrying part, it's two parts really. A, that we've got 93 out there and another perhaps 247 foreign criminals that could be on our streets. But even though the coalition pushed Labor into this legislation and most of the changes were changes that you wrote to improve their legislation, nothing that passed last week is going to lock any of these people up again, is it?
Peter, what a complete, total and utter mess Australia finds itself in. As you said, under the Albanese government, 93 hardcore criminals, rapists, murderers, child sex offenders and a contract killer, people who are not entitled to even be in this country, are now roaming the streets out in our community. But what's worse is the cohort of 247. Mr Albanese needs to front the Australian people and clearly articulate what is his government going to do with the 247. When is his government going to do it? But more than that, Peter, what in God's name is his government going to do to ensure the security and safety of the Australian people? Because to date, other than the leadership shown by Peter Dutton last week, Mr Albanese has completely abrogated his duty as our Prime Minister to put the safety and security of Australians first.
You have been Attorney General in the past, in government. Home Affairs Minister Clare O'Neil says, well, she was told by her officials that the government was likely to win the High Court case. That's why there was no plan B. Now, you and I know that's not how it works. Are you surprised
not, Peter.
They are not admitting their fault here?
Oh, I'm not surprised they're not admitting their fault, because this is a government that when they're wrong, hands up, they don't tell anybody. But Peter, you and I, as you said, we've both been in government. So in the first instance, don't you think June of this year, with Justice Gleeson's comments, that would have been the first red flag when you and I would have said, well, hold on, there might be a bit of a problem here. What are we going to do? We would have then spent the next few months demanding of the department to put in place a series of options. What is our worst case scenario right through to a potential win? This government now says, oh, we were told we were going to win, so we didn't take any further action. Again, complete, total and utter incompetence on behalf of the Prime Minister, Minister O'Neil, quite frankly, the Attorney General as well, Peter, who should have been on notice in June of this year, and also Minister Giles. But again, more than that, Peter, if you actually believe your first responsibility as the federal government is the security of Australians, don't you have a response ready to go regardless of the outcome?
I just... On so many levels, Michaelia, I just think that this government is completely out of its depth. It's focused on the things that don't matter. It's been obsessed with the voice. But you've now got the AFP saying, well, we need funding to now monitor these people. We're told it's about $180,000 a month to monitor the 90-odd we know about. Wait till you add in the 247. I mean, are we supposed to monitor them and pay for them as Australians for a decade or more? And then you've got the welfare, the housing, the travel, all the other entitlements that taxpayers will give these foreigners.
Absolutely, because at the moment you've got 93 hardcore criminals, no right to be in Australia, And guess what? The taxpayer for the next 12 weeks is funding their lifestyle. Another 247 could potentially be in that situation. But Peter, I think what's exposed the Albanese government is A, the leadership shown by Peter Dutton, B, that Peter's put options on the table, including looking at the high-risk terrorist offenders regime, which, as you and I know, could actually be manipulated. Have a good look at it and see what you can do to actually include these people in on it. But it's like the Albanese government. They've only got one way of thinking. We were going to win, and as such, we've done nothing. And now we're actually hoping Peter Dutton knows what to do, because we don't. I actually feel very sorry for the AFP and our intelligence agencies, because I've got a lot of respect for them. And the Albanese government seems to have just said to them, well, it's over to you now, guys. This is up to Mr Albanese to show leadership as the Prime Minister of this nation. And again, he's just abrogating his first responsibility to keep Australia and Australians secure, not worry about the rights of a cohort of high-risk criminals who have no right to be here in the first place. Perhaps Mr Albanese needs to take a leaf out of Peter Dutton's book. Mr Albanese, why don't you have the back of Australians? Because Peter Dutton does.
I tell you, my viewers are saying there's no contest. Put Michaelia Cash in Home Affairs rather than Claire O'Neill. Senator Cash, thank you.